This week is huge. It is massive. And I know I've been saying that to you so much lately, but it really is the kind of year that we are still, even though we're in February, in the early stages of, that holds so much potential as we go along week to week for new beginnings, for breakthroughs, for powerful shifts in energy that feel as if they change a whole lot for us very quickly. Jupiter goes direct this week, and we have the rare phenomenon about once every 17 years, the North Node meets Neptune in the sky. That is a destiny point that represents a doorway opening from which new people, places, things, and situations enter that represent karmic blessings. They pull us forward. And the fact that Jupiter goes direct right in tandem, right along the same time, well, it does suggest we are aware of the blessings. They're not just staying on a level of soul contract, but rather it's something that we can feel, and we can glimpse a future that feels a lot more optimistic, that has us really excited in at least one area of life. Things are about to feel like they change a lot, but as those things change, there's this whole other area of life where the North Node meets Neptune that big blessings open up for us as well. There's so much to talk about now. Hello, fabulous friends, fans, and superstars. Welcome to your horoscope for the week of February 2nd, 2025. I am your astrologer, Nadiya Shah. Thank you for being here. And a massive thank you to this week's sponsor, roseforever.com. These are roses that can last years to come, just in time for Valentine's Day. Use code Nadiya at checkout for a discount. It is a remarkable astrological week, without a doubt. Big moves happening in the sky now. Boys, at a very special time, and it truly is so special now. Powerful energies are with us, and it is going to be this week, throughout this week, given how slowly Neptune and the North Node travels. Well, they're pretty much together in the sky throughout this week, and it is Neptune that represents a sense of magic, a sense of healing and blessings that become available to us. And it is as if these are blessings that we are ready for, and they pull us forward. But what makes the first part of this week especially important is the fact that we are going to have Venus in the mix. It's going to be these three placements together: Venus, Neptune, and the North Node together in the sky. And as these placements travel together now, they speak so powerfully to how heart and soul and spirit are working together. How it is that even what it is that feels as if you wish it could stay, but it feels ephemeral. It feels like where you wanted steadiness just isn't meant to be. We're able to glimpse and connect to a deeper wisdom in the process. Now, this becomes especially true with new beginnings being indicated where it comes to all things Venusian. So matters of love, matters of money, matters of self-love, but also the things that give us joy, that give us pleasure, the indulgences that we experience as we move through life that make life that much more a rich experience. Now, that richness can be practical, it can be financial, but it can also be metaphorical, right? It can be an experience, being able to be with our senses, and through the senses move towards the divine. Well, that is part of the promise that is available to us now. The North Node is so primary where it comes to prediction. So much of what happens in the sky, and especially when it's just the planets being activated, it's like what we want, why we want it, how we go about getting it. That's what's being awakened. But when it is the nodes being activated, it is playing out more strongly on a soul level. It's more about these turning points that we reach in life that open up new chapters with the North Node in particular. Now, once a year, we do get Venus meeting the North Node, and that can be a wonderful time to be open to greater love or greater prosperity, depending on your unique circumstances. But the fact that Neptune is in the mix this time, it does suggest a few things. One is it suggests that we are going to be that much more aware of what might be playing out in terms of the new people, places, things, and situations entering that might represent karmic blessings. But with Neptune being an energy that's so much about what we feel, about faith, which is a beautiful thing, Venus helps us to make that faith that much more real. It helps us to embody that faith that much more. Now, this is actually going to be an important trend. I want you to consider that we are now newly with Venus in shadow, which means we have embarked on the larger Venus retrograde season. This began last week when Venus began to walk a path that, once Venus goes retrograde at the beginning of March, is going to move over once again. It is going to be in April with Venus newly direct in the middle of the month that we are going to have another powerful North Node activation here. And that is going to be Venus, Saturn, and the North Node meeting in the sky. I find this remarkable, and you can't understand one gathering in the sky without understanding the other, because Neptune can be all about the dream, the fantasy, the belief. It is an energy of miracles after all, and very often we have to believe in miracles to even recognize them and where they might be playing out. But Neptune needs Saturn, because it is Saturn and Neptune together that are able to manifest the magic, make it count for something. It's able to take inspiration and contain it enough so that we're able to use it, not just towards our own healing and happiness, which is a beautiful thing, but actually to live different, to align with a greater sense of self-respect. Now, what that journey looks like for each of us, that's what's going to be highlighted here in this first part of the year, as we're now in the middle of the winter. And this is going to take us right to the middle of the spring. We are navigating this time powerfully so. And so, yes, right now it's a dream, but whatever comes forward now, you'll be able to see it a lot more practically, but also understand the steps towards meaningful manifestation that much more clearly once it is that we get into April. And of course, I'll be here to talk about it every step of the way. Now, the very beginning of the week is interesting for another reason as well, and it comes down to Jupiter. Jupiter is standing still throughout this week. And when a planet is gearing up to change directions or newly changes directions or standing still in the sky, it is closer to the Earth than it might otherwise be. Its energies are that much more heightened, are that much more obvious to us. And whenever it is that a planet changes directions, we tend to feel that shift, especially when it's a big planet like Jupiter, which has to do with healthy optimism, expanding our horizons, and understanding what it is to believe in ourselves and how that changes our understanding of the opportunities that could be available to us in all kinds of ways. Well, now here we are, and we get not just the fact that on Tuesday, Jupiter goes direct, technically, as I said, standing still in the sky all week, but that actual direct motion on Tuesday. Well, just before then, on Monday, Mercury will speak in supreme harmony with that Jupiter. And I think this is going to work so much to our advantage, because it is Mercury that represents what we're thinking about, what we're talking about, information and communication that we are exchanging or receiving or imparting to others. It's about our random interactions with others and how that helps us to make mental connections. As they say, it's the penny dropping that Mercury often indicates. The fact that Mercury is speaking in supreme harmony with Jupiter suggests that whatever feels like it changes, it shifts, it moves forward. Wherever it feels as if there was stagnant energy and all of a sudden that stagnation has released, and so much more becomes possible to us, well, it is going to be this realization that is very clearly able to be acknowledged. We're able to see it for what it is. We're able to recognize it because it's obvious based on our interactions with others and the connections we're making within. Mercury does represent awareness. That's what happens when we talk to other people. Very often, we'll find ourselves saying the thing that maybe we needed to hear for ourselves. We needed to know that we know this, or this is what we're actually thinking or feeling or believing around a matter. Sometimes it takes that manifestation of vocabulary, of having those words out there that makes us see them differently, so we get to decide if they're a fit, if they actually work. So Mercury trine Jupiter is beautiful in and of itself. That represents really lovely news, fortunate connections, but you add this super strong Jupiter in the mix, well, it magnifies the importance of this time that much more. Jupiter is in the sign of Gemini. Gemini is a sign ruled by Mercury. And the fact that these two are speaking in supreme harmony now, well, I think that speaks volumes to just how important communication and random interactions, synchronistic moments, are likely to feel for so many of us out there. Now, on a collective level, I think this could be some really positive news or information that finds more of us at this time. You know, I found it really fascinating that last week, as Uranus went direct, well, that was when we had this whole idea of deep seek starting to reach a whole lot of people, which was this breakthrough of how it is that a technology was able to become that much more accessible to that many more people than ever before. And it's the promise of that that is so strongly indicated now, that's only going to accelerate once it is that we step later in this year and Uranus starts stepping into the sign of Gemini as well. And so we have now Jupiter in Gemini moving forward. And I think this is going to represent a step forward in that very understanding of how we're processing information, how we're seeking it, how we're able to gather it. What's the most powerful way we're gathering information now is through online searches. And it is Uranus that is often considered a principle of equal rights, of human rights. And if Pluto in Capricorn showed us anything, it was the inequalities that happen based on economic status or even social status at that. Well, it is Uranus that breaks through those limitations and allows us to feel like what information, what knowledge, what insights, what education is available to one can become available to all very quickly. And I think it is Jupiter in Gemini that is setting the stage for Uranus to get there. This is a powerful moment in that regard. Because of that trine to Mercury, it's like we glimpse it. We glimpse how quickly information and knowledge can become accessible to that many more people than ever before. And it feels just downright inspiring to see it play out now. Now, Friday is fascinating because Neptune and the North Node, with precision to the minute, will be connecting together. However, like I said, they are so close in the sky throughout this week that this is going to be powerful energy that is speaking to our own evolution collectively and individually as we go along through every day of this week. Whereas at the start of the week, Venus is in the mix. Once we get towards the end of the week, under the light of the precise alignment of Neptune and the North Node to the minute alignment at that, we are also going to have Venus speaking in harmony with Pluto. Now, this is an important characteristic of the larger Venus retrograde season. Again, as I said earlier, we're just at the beginning of a whole journey that's going to take us right to the middle of May. Now, there is going to be a Venus retrograde special horoscope later this month, so be on the lookout for that. But having said that, I'll be here to walk with you every step of the way as we go along. This connection with Pluto of harmony is actually one of the saving grace alignments, because there are going to be moments in this Venus retrograde season that are going to be really tough, especially as Venus meets Saturn repeatedly, meets Neptune repeatedly. But the fact that the North Node is in on the journey tells me that even with the challenges, it's like we know our soul is ready for whatever stark truths or awareness of our own illusions and disappointments that might be arising for us as part of a key characteristic of this time and the first part of this year, for that matter. But for all that, these saving grace energies are going to include Venus speaking in harmony with Pluto. Now, going back, it is as we start the week on Monday that Venus will change signs, moving into the sign of Aries. This is one of the signs that part of this Venus retrograde season is going to take place in. The other is the energy of Pisces. Venus moving back and forth between Aries and Pisces very much mirrors and becomes part of this sense of Neptune and Saturn both dipping into Aries, moving back into Pisces throughout this year. Venus is reminding us to bring heart and to bring love to the journey, no matter what changes it feels like it might be evoking or inspiring. And even if change can sometimes be scary, that doesn't mean that there isn't love there, sometimes profound love at that. And it's love for the journey itself. It may or may not show up in terms of a particular person, but that's possible. Passions tend to run very high when we are in the midst of a Venus retrograde season. The connection of Venus and Pluto is passionate. That is the way to put it. And it's not the kind of passion that's physical and flirty like we necessarily might see if it was Venus and Mars, but rather it's the kind of passion that feels like it affects us very deeply, that serves as a catalyst moment towards more sweeping changes in our lives, that helps us to get in touch with a depth of experience of love that maybe we hadn't known before. And again, this could be romantic love, but not necessarily. It could be the motivation, the determination to actually make a change that aligns us with greater self-love, greater prosperity, greater ease, greater pleasure, greater joy. We'll be inspired in those directions, and we'll have an understanding of what we can do to facilitate change that helps us to experience those states that much more readily. This is a time of focus as well. I will say Pluto helps us to focus on what really matters, and where we are focusing on matters of heart and all its manifestations and all its implications. Well, that is going to be part of the saving grace as part of this larger Venus retrograde season that we've stepped into now. What I love about this week for us, there's so much here. It's a powerful and meaningful astrological moment. Well, look, huge things are happening. There's no understatement when I say big things are happening in the sky. Look, we have that triple conjunction of Venus, Neptune, and the North Node. That is so significant for a few reasons. One is it represents a doorway opening, and that doorway that opens pulls us forward towards some higher sense of evolution, towards a sense of understanding what it is that the soul's journey is leading us to do. You know, I've been sharing with you guys as of late how easy it is to get caught up in ego and in personality. But there's a journey that the soul is here to undertake, and that is the only real journey. Everything else, and that can be the ego, that can be the personality, that can be the material circumstances of our lives. Ultimately, they are there to help us to tap into the journey of the soul that much more readily. They're there to serve as tools to work in service of the soul, not the other way around. And when it is that we choose not to keep soul at the forefront, to keep the fact that that's what this life is really about, is to honor the journey of the soul and to know the freedom and the peace that comes when we do that. Because when we do that, it's uncanny how the material things in life have a way of just coming together. They have a way of falling into place. But it is, if we choose not to undertake that intention of aligning with soul, intention of listening to our own soul and what it desires, what growth, what evolution, what lessons might be there for it, well, that's when we ultimately end up delaying work that must get done. Now, are you going to get it done now, or are you going to save it till way later in this lifetime? Or are you going to get it done now and embrace it and pack in the healing and the empowerment of several lifetimes into one? Or are you going to put it off for another lifetime? Because the thing is, ultimately, that soul is so strong. That soul is the only true thing. And that soul is undeniable. It is going to make itself known at key moments in our lives. And if we choose not to take up the work, it's like we make it that much harder for ourselves. And so why put it off when there's so much promise and possibility there? If we just rid ourselves of our fear that ultimately comes from ego, from personality, which is a conditioned false sense of self. The true self, which is the soul, has a purity to it, and that purity can be characterized as pure love and is a pathway to wisdom as well. I think a lot of this understanding that I've just spoken of, it's going to be so much on the surface for so many of us out there, with Venus and the North Node and Neptune all gathering together this week. That doorway is opening wide and it is pulling us forward towards greater love and greater wisdom. The fact that Jupiter is going direct as well, that just means we're that much more aware of our blessings, that much more mindful of how important gratitude is as a tool to make us aware of the soul's journey. And that soul's journey, once we glimpse it, the peace that is found in the soul, I'll tell you, it is downright addictive. Peace is addictive once it is that we find it. And I do think that this triple conjunction, so powerful and so rare. Remember, Neptune meets the North Node about once every 17 years or so. We get a handful of these conjunctions over the course of a lifetime. To have Venus in the mix becomes that much more rare. And normally when this conjunction takes place, it's in a different part of the sky. And so now here we are. We get this powerful conjunction. And it is ultimately an invitation. We can see that peace. We can feel the allure of it. We can also see the truth of it, that that's what life might really be about. And when that's what life is about, it isn't about escapism. It's about priorities. It's about not allowing the false self to have too much power, but instead to use it as an ally so that the journey of the soul becomes that much more obvious and that much more powerful as well. Well, thank you so much for watching. What do you love about this week? Let me know in the comments below. I love reading you guys, and to prove it to you, here's some of my most recent favorite comments. Thank you to everybody who likes, who comments, who subscribes, who shares, who thumbs up. All of it means so much. I'm so grateful for you. Thank you. And of course, if you want to know how all this wonderful stuff this week speaks to you in your sign, log on to NadiyaShahSuperstars.com, where you get expanded, exclusive video scopes for each and every sign for as low as just $3 a month. With choose your membership rate. Higher tiers get you things like all access passes to Synchronicity University events, consultations with me, and so much more. All of this in the superstar space at NadiyaShahSuperstars.com. Links are in the description below. Synchronicity University has some powerful, incredible new programs, and some of them have started to launch. I'm so excited about what's coming up this March. Now, you've got until the end of February to choose your tuition rate as low as just $5 a class. And I'll tell you something, it's not being very widely advertised, but just as we begin this week, and only for the beginning of this week, if it is that you choose to get one of these courses and one of the past courses of one of these teachers, including myself, well, what happens then is you get an additional discount. So it ends up being even less than just $5 a class. So this is a rare opportunity to stock up and catch up on past classes, but also to embark on a brand new journey. Depending on who you take that journey with, well, it is going to speak that much more powerfully to how it is that you find your own power, your own path with astrology. I'm going to start with my own course. This is You and the World, Between You and the World. Yes, finally. I can't believe it took me this long. Considering how many years I've been using these techniques, it is all about astrology and travel. We're going to look at that together over the course of 5 weeks from all kinds of perspectives. So we're going to be looking at relocation astrology, astrocartography, astrolocality. We'll be looking at predicting the best times to travel, when those opportunities are likely to come, what it says about when you might actually relocate, move somewhere else. And also, we're going to look at what to look for where it comes to where you might want to visit, what your intention is around where you might want to visit. I just love all things travel. I mean, I do have a Sagittarius moon. I think more people know I have a Sagittarius moon than they know I have an Aquarius sun or a Cancer rising. But all of that together to me just speaks to feeling at home in the world and how important that is to me. And there's just a freedom and an empowerment I find when I travel, and it's just like nothing else. And I know a lot of people for a long time have looked at travel as a chance at reinvention. Well, I'll tell you, even if it's a short trip, even if it's short distance travel, it's just a chance to get out of the city that you normally are in day in and day out, can offer you that glimpse, can offer you that opportunity at whatever it is that you're needing: reinvention, perspective, a sense of beginning, a sense of truth, and so much more. And so, yeah, I'm going to be teaching a course all about techniques that I've been using for years, where it comes to the different ways to understand travel and relocating and so much more. Thank you so much to all the people who've registered. This is proving to be right out of the gate, because I just launched this class. Lots of people have been signing up for this. So I know it's going to be super popular if right out of the gate there's such enthusiasm and such interest in it. I'm so grateful for you guys. Thank you for seeing something in me that is part of your sacred journey. But yeah, this class on travel, I'm really excited about and really enthusiastic about as well. You can learn a whole lot more about this class and sign up now at synchronicityuniversity.com. Remember, choose your tuition rate is on right now, as low as just $5 a class. And when you go on to that page, you're going to find the possibility is there, at least in the very beginning of this week, for an even further discount as well, should you choose to add on one of my previous classes. So have a look at that. I'm so grateful for you. Thank you for your enthusiasm for what I share, but also for travel as well. We're going to have a lot of fun come this March. Links are in the description below. Synchronicity University is proud to present the one and only URSULA STOCKDER. URSULA is back at Synchronicity University. I know how many students absolutely love her. She is brilliant and wise. She is a Jungian analyst, a recognized tarot tarot expert and an artist as well. She is a proficient and prolific astrologer, and she's going to merge all of that together in helping us to untap and to allow us to bring forward the artist with and through astrology. So using astrology to maximize your artistic abilities and skills and your creativity and so much more. Ursula is going to have you seeing it from different perspectives and different angles. Now, as we begin this week, as this video is launching, it might be that this class hasn't even officially launched. So just be on the lookout in the first days of this week when her class launches. It will be as low as just $5 a class until the end of February. And Ursula, because she's taught programs with us before, you'll also be able to get that further discount should you choose to take on some of her previous programs as well. She's taught extensively about tarot and so much more at Synchronicity University. I'm so excited about Ursula's program because, as I said, she's so passionate about art and symbolism and understanding the intuition and its role in effective readings, whether they're tarot readings or astrology readings. And so she's a perfect person to merge all of that together. Uncover the artist within through the hidden symbolism of astrology. That is what Ursula is going to be teaching only at Synchronicity University this March. You've got a short time left to choose your tuition rate as low as just $5 a class. This is the only place on the planet that Ursula teaches at that rate. But I am so committed to that because I do believe that that is a big part of what the mission of Synchronicity University is, which is to make world-class astrology by world-famous astrologers available to the masses through education, through that personal understanding that you have when you get to interact with them. There's just nothing like taking an astrology class, and to have it accessible to the masses. I'm just so proud that Synchronicity University is able to do that. And Ursula is a wonderful example of us living our mission. With such a prolific astrologer being able to reach you, I'm so excited about it. So check out, learn more about Ursula's class at synchronicityuniversity.com. Sign up now. Links are in the description below. Thank you so much for this moment with you. Thank you for your trust. I'm so grateful for it. If you're still here, you are a real one. I heard a YouTuber say that recently, and I thought that's so perfect. If you stay to the end, you are a real one. And I appreciate it so much. Now, I do also want to again say thank you to the sponsor of this week's video. It is roseforever.com. And I've loved enjoying these roses. You will see them in the background of the monthly videos that are up now for February. And of course, you saw them throughout this episode of the weekly video that I do, this podcast I do every single week. Yeah, you saw them in the background throughout this week. And I hope that you enjoyed that. And they smell really nicely too. I purchased Rose Forever like a couple of years ago for my mom for one of the Valentine's Day, because we do that for each other. And they're still beautiful and vibrant. And so how wonderful to now partner with them and to share them with you as well. So again, just in time for Valentine's Day, check out their website, use code Nadiya at checkout for a discount. So stay tuned now for short horoscopes coming up right now. And just thank you again for this moment with you. It'll be a great week. Enjoy. Jupiter represents optimism and being able to recognize the opportunities that perhaps were always there. It's just that now we're ready to acknowledge them and seize them even. When Jupiter changes directions, that means that Jupiter is closer to the Earth than it might otherwise be. And there's every reason for hope. But when Jupiter goes direct, it's like our blessings are able to come forward that much more. And we start to feel as if life is moving in a more positive direction as well. In an instant, we might find ourselves feeling more grateful, with a greater sense of perspective and with a greater sense of the possible in at least one area of life. Well, Jupiter is going direct this week in the sign of Gemini, and Gemini, well, that has to do with information and communication, what we're talking about, what we're reading, what we're hearing, whether it's on the news, whether it's as a collective, or whether it's in our own lives in terms of the emails or snail mails that are reaching us now. All of that holds the potential for giving us great news that leads to positive change and an awareness around greater opportunities in our lives. This is what the ancients called the higher benefic, magnified in power and importance at this time. As a general principle, you do want to remember with Jupiter, you've got to be proactive with it. That's the point. Sometimes we have occurrences taking place that are all about a higher will playing out, and we've got that this week as well, with the North Node being very powerfully activated. And I have spoken about that over in the monthly horoscopes. You may want to review that again. But outside of that, with Jupiter though, be proactive. You've got to take action. And when you do so from a place of optimism, of faith, it's not that every single thing lines up exactly as you specified, but you're much more likely to feel a sense of positive outcomes being that much more likely. You're that much more likely to have a sense of progress take place for you that absolutely can feel like a blessing. But it's Jupiter. You've got to participate in order to make the most of it and in order to feel as if Jupiter delivered on the promises that feel present to you now. How it is that Jupiter going direct speaks to you and your sign, well, that's going to depend on your sun, moon, and rising sign. You want to take all three into consideration and synthesize the information to make it that much more unique to you. But remember, in at least one area of life, it feels as if you are moving forward towards better, towards more. There's an unleashing of happiness, even if you haven't felt it so far, you are set to now. Now, if you want even more horoscopes, check out my YouTube channel over at Nadiya Shah, and of course, over on my website, nadiyashah.com, and the superstar space at thefutureismagical.com. Aries, your neighborhood, your siblings, cousins, and neighbors. Well, look, there could be positive things taking place in the lives of one of these people or in your more immediate environment, your local environment. And you might be especially happy about that, even if it doesn't necessarily have anything to do with you directly. But a much more likely scenario is synchronicity is going to be operating super high for you now, which means you find yourself in the right place at the right time, meeting the right person. And it makes all the difference now. Now, it isn't always what you think. It isn't that you meet somebody and they rescue you from your life. Of course not. But it could be just hear what you need to hear, or you're given a clue, an insight into a direction that you might want to go in, and you being spontaneous and following it up. Well, that allows an unleashing of positive energy, but also good fortune in your life now. Taurus, money you earn, money you spend, self-love, self-esteem are covered here. Well, now that Jupiter is going direct, now Jupiter will be moving forward and is going to leave this part of your sky in June. Think back, because it was in the middle of last year that Jupiter first moved in here, and you are on this journey from moving from one way of earning money and one particular income bracket to either a completely different way of earning money, doing something very different, or a higher income bracket than you were in before. It is this move of Jupiter that is a key moment as part of that journey that you are in the midst of now. Whether it is you finally getting news about that raise, that promotion, whether it is a new idea that holds tremendous potential for prosperity, identity, or whether it is a new perspective on self, the value that you are giving to what you give to the world and how you feel that the universe responds to that, well, that's where all this lucky energy is able to come in that much more readily. But remember, this is Jupiter, which means that you do need to be proactive with this energy to make it count for something. So you have a great idea, take some action, even symbolically speaking. If it is that you want advancement, go and speak to somebody who can make it so. Figure out your pathway forward, because again, even a small action can be rewarded many times over. Gemini, identity, personality, who you know yourself to be, what matters to you first and most, and priorities. Now, this is a really good place to have Jupiter go direct, because it means you are knowing yourself differently, more expansively, from a more healed perspective, from a perspective that feels as if so much more becomes possible to you because of you, because of who you are. It is a new chapter, but it's also you being a magnet in a way that can feel especially rewarding. This is Jupiter. Follow it up with action. Whatever that inspiration might be, whatever suggestion might be out there, it is you that is able to take it and run with it and make the most of opportunities that could be presenting themselves to you now. But more importantly, it's knowing yourself differently, seeing yourself differently, changing your self-definition that makes so much more and so much better within reach. Cancer, karmic blessings, karmic closures, and what's happening on levels of soul, psyche, and spirit. Now, as much as with Jupiter going direct, it is an energy that you should be proactive with. I'm always going to advise that. I think that need to be especially proactive is going to be a little lessened for you, because some of the best stuff that's set to happen with Jupiter direct is going to feel like it just shows up, seemingly out of nowhere for some Cancerians out there. Now, this might be a fortunate closure that takes place in your life, and you're that much more grateful for what it is that feels like it's leaving, and it's such a blessing. But this could also be a brand new sense of the possible, doors opening up for you, new opportunities coming in. And it's based on the things that have been happening without your awareness. So people speaking well of you on your behalf, or some goodwill that you sowed a long time ago, now catching up to deliver blessings in one way or another. It feels as if life is on your side, and it makes itself known in ways that you hadn't anticipated, whether it's your spirit guides, whether it is your own personal healing, or whether it is practical opportunity. There are forces on your side encouraging you forward. Leo, friendships, group dynamics, big blessings open up to you as a result of whom you're aligned with and who you know. It's not necessarily what you know that opens up greater potential and possibility for you now. Consider that it is here that we find the higher hopes and wishes for your life. And it is by being in the right groups and the right memberships, at the right social events, hanging out with the right people where you least expected, that you find yourself aligned with those hopes and wishes that you have in all kinds of ways. Now, this could be personal progress and a sense of your own positivity magnifying, but it can also be professional progress that takes place for you now, because hopes and wishes can be quite expansive when you consider it. New connections might be made, or previous connections in some way reawaken as part of personal joy or real gains you make at this time. Now, this part of the sky also has to do with connecting with the masses, whether that's on social media or traditional media, and you are able to reach a whole lot of people very quickly now with things that you likely feel very good about within yourself. Virgo, career, social standing, life purpose, and your understanding of a higher, more loving vision for your life. Success and accolades are covered here. Rewards are covered here. And so if it is that you felt yourself in line for a promotion or an advancement, this is where Jupiter can be part of helping that to come together for you. Of course, you do need to do your part. At the same time, if you are hoping for improved relations with bosses and people in positions of authority, one of these people could facilitate a potential opportunity for you as well. Now, this is a very visible part of the sky, and it also has to do with recognition and rewards. Now, whether that finds you in new circumstances like interviews or auditions, they can go exceptionally well now, or whether it is a long time coming, this is where you feel like accolades, gains can be made. The rewards are there. Now, for some, you may have to ask for it to see how it might come together, but in so many ways, the universe is on your side to feel like you've either accomplished a goal or made a win. Libra, long distance travel, immigration, citizenship, higher learning, and legal matters. You might find there's greater opportunity and possibility that just opens up for you. If you have found any of these areas stagnant in a matter important to you, now it feels as if you're able to get the right advice and take the right steps that actually are going to be effective to get you the outcome that you desire. Now, sometimes we see energies that say, okay, there could be a resolution, but it'll be fair. Sometimes we see the sky say there can be a resolution, and chances are it'll go very much in your favor. That's what we're seeing now. And so if you can be proactive with this and bring a matter to resolution, to move it forward in some way, you're going to find yourself that much more grateful, or at the very least be free of some concern. Now, this circumstance isn't going to apply to many of you out there, but this can also speak to a more personal understanding of where you are to be, figuratively or literally, taking on some adventure that allows you to feel like you're exposing yourself to new experiences, finally taking that trip. Or this could also be your own philosophies feeling as if they support you. They become more than they were before. Scorpio, profound change, truth, transformation, regeneration, and your relationship with financial institutions. This could be some very good news related to a grant, loan, bursary, scholarship, benefits you qualify for, credit cards even are covered by this part of the sky. If you're in a relationship, your partner's income could get some really good news as well. This is Jupiter. You do need to be proactive with it, which means to book those appointments, whether it is that you're looking to pay off, to renegotiate, or to attract more funding. All of that could be possible for you. But this is also about being honest with yourself and moving towards a transformative sense of who you are, a more authentic sense of who you are. And if you've been in some transformative journey, this is where the fruits of your labor feel like they're able to come together for you that much more. So if you've been engaged in physical processes to go through change, well, this is where you feel that much more satisfied with some outcomes that could be more obvious. And if it's psychological change, this is where you reach a turning point, getting more honest with you as to what it is that your truth actually is and what steps you want to take to live it more fully. Sagittarius, partnerships of all kinds, including romantic partnerships. Now, if you had hoped for a sense of understanding, of being on the same page with a key partner in your life, or to feel that that alliance is mutually beneficial, if it's a business alliance in terms of your prosperity, well, this is where you're able to see more clearly and find that understanding. Wonderful progress can be facilitated for you as a result of who you're aligned with. But romantically, this is actually really great, whether you're open to meeting someone new or in an established alliance. For those of you open, well, this can be a time when it feels as if, whether it's personal barriers or outward circumstances, ease up, allowing you to connect with other people that much more readily. If it felt like you had your eye on somebody, at least you'll come to know where you stand with them as part of being that much more open to love. And if you are in an established bond, this is a big burst of healing and a burst of faith as well, as part of feeling that much more closer and that much more mutually connected. A spirit of sharing is there that helps both of you feel that much more understood. Capricorn, your work life, your daily life, your habits, your clients, customers, coworkers, immediate supervisors, but also your health-related habits as well are covered here. So one of the more immediate ways this energy can be beneficial is clients, customers, coworkers, immediate supervisors. Either they facilitate blessings, they bring blessings, whether it's new clients and customers or well-established ones. There's a real feeling here of affection and your life being able to move towards more as a result of these particular types of people now. Also, personally, on a level of your health, this is you feeling a whole lot better, or at least understanding what you can do to feel a lot better. There's motivation to do just that by focusing on habits and rituals as you move through your day. And so that's where the power is. And where it is that you're focusing in on those habits and rituals, this is where you could get some very good news related to your health. It could just involve taking a different set of medications, the right medications, making small changes to your eating habits. These can go such a long way to having you feel that much better, that much more quickly. Aquarius, what you want in your heart of hearts in every area of life is illuminated, feels that much more accessible. This is also a part of the sky that has to do with luck and windfalls. So yeah, you might be feeling downright lucky in some way or another now, enough to take chances. And chances are with this energy, you're having fun, you're engaging it with a healthy sense of happiness at this time as well. For all that, this also has to do with the romance, flirtation. You are getting your flirt on, but you're also becoming that much more aware of what love is to you and how it is that you just might want to align with it. Pisces, home, your past, your living situation, your family of origin. Big bursts of healing coming in. There could be very good news related to one of your parents where that applies. But outside of that, this can also be lovely where it comes to feeling like home is where your foundation is, where the heart is, where you feel that much more like you are to be, where home is for you. That could be a literal space. And that understanding could expand for you in some way now, whether that home is abroad or right where you are. Whether you are actually looking at moving, buying, selling, or whether it is that you're just making aesthetic changes, there's this sense that things are moving in a positive direction, that more becomes possible. And if it is that you find yourself in a situation where you can make a move, well, at least with the sky, it looks incredibly promising to be a place of great promise and possibility for you going forward from here. Thank you again for watching. It'll be a great week and a great Jupiter direct. Enjoy.